It's February, January. February, January. It's the 9th today, and it is Valentine's week. And I must be honest. I've never been much of a Valentine's person, but it's always just I've always been kind of alone. So it just reminds you of how alone you are. But that's okay because I've always been kind of solitary, so it's fine with me. My company is usually better than most people's. Just throwing it out there. So today we're going to talk about love. We're going to see how that love is when you're single and trying to, fight for your human rights and, the stuff that's been going on in this crazy experience as we're transcending from 3D to 5D. And so, yeah, that's what it's about. We're going to talk about a few things. First, message about love. The councils were giving me a very expanded version of love. But first of all, we were going to talk about what wasn't love. And talk about my discrimination case. I'm keeping everybody up to date and everybody in the know and in the how. And we're going to go over biocosm one more time. And then in the biocosm, I didn't get quite finished the chlorophyll. And we all know that chlorophyll from we were taught in science, as the sun comes onto the planet, and the chlorophyll is what's in the plants and how the sun moves through its life process, and chlorophyll important in that. And so Spirit was telling me that as we're moving into greater light, I've been activated this weekend with Source Creator, more source codes. And so there's a lot more source inside of my body that's moving out into the collective. So that means I'm going to have greater gifts and skills and talents and greater movement with my gifts and my skills and my talents. So I'm very excited about that. But the chlorophyll was a mirrored example of how I'm going to be using, and those of us that are moving into greater light as we are in ascension, and as every ascension spiral offers us new source light, new omnipresence, new source codes. And so in that, what it means is that you're offered that new light to work with as chlorophyll does, as the energies that are moving through your body to move more with light, to live more with light, to nourish yourself more with light, and have that light be your only nourishment, as opposed to other things that are not as light is. It's not a pure rarefied, and it's the best nourishment that we can get, right? I think it's called photosynthesis. And so, and they were giving me that experiences, the biocosms, right, are coming together in these extraneously unique, it's never been done before in this way. This is what I've been told by the councils of light. This is what I've been told by the Father. This is part of the Divine Father's plan, as part of evolutionary plans for species, as well as species moving into the Christ consciousness. It's evolutionary for humans. We've never done this before, never been here before. And so I'm talking about these things are all new to humanity. Nobody's ever talked about these things but me. It's my channel. It's my content. So if you'd like to give a donation, that would be wonderful. You can't take this and use it as your own and say this is your information. It's not yours. It's my downloads. But if you'd like to book a session or a lecture, if you'd like me to come and talk to me about any of these topics, I can. So just book a session through PayPal. And so within these experiences of how humans, the ultra human, is moving into more source light, how this is going to go is that we're going to be understanding that our movement into everyday life is going to be the minutia more and more source creator. That's our nourishment. And that's the harmony that I've talked about right from day one. And it's the alignment, it's the connection and the relationship that you have with source, connection, relationship with all that is light. And so they were showing me this biocosm is the two fields coming together for, they say, a union of these two beings that have not come together ever in this way. And in so far that their reality of what their omnipresent was, right? Their omnipresent and my omnipresent, if you put two of these side by side, these are cosmic like realms, just as we talked about. I gave you information about the fairy realm. So just as if these two were realms holding the two individuals, when they come together as a union, they create a biocosm. And so that their energies with each other, how they operate with each other, the light that they magnetize with each other, especially if they're, higher up in the evolutionary human experience as creator gods, as I am. And so too, with the mate that I would be with would be a creator god, just of a different species, that I'm told, or that I'm a different species from them. And it all goes down to the DNA, because again, we're all different makeup of DNA. Our DNA genetics and our makeups of our genetics are different. But the genetics that are being offered in this realm, series, phase of evolution for New Earth, it is for the New Earth star benefit. It is for the greater good. It is always for the Divine Father's plan, for what is in the highest and the best for all. Based on, of course, when you're with a soulmate, it's based on those that have been doing the work, that have been, keeping themselves up to speed as possible with the light, because you can't be having somebody like myself, partner with somebody that is somebody that is not doing the work, somebody that is not evolving and not following basic universal laws, basic human laws. It's a total mismatch of the biocosms. It would be detriment, because the fields are just too distorted, too much. And this is where you have to understand energy. You have to understand who we are as quantum energy, what we exist within, what's going on within us. If everything within you is dark and you haven't done any of your path work, you haven't done any of your transmutating, you haven't done any of your 51%, you're not going to be fitting with somebody that's done the work. They're just two incompatible fields. There's too much dissonance. There's no compatibility. And so you have to understand that when you hand it over to Source Creator to find you your soulmate, Source is going to be looking for all of these things to the most intricate, and Source knows each and every one of you. Source knows how each and every one of you can move through your soul's progression, soul's choices, and your soul's lessons. And Source knows you inside and out better than anybody. So just hand over your soulmate, hand over your experiences with love to Source Creator. And Source Creator is going to start working on both of you to make sure that you're both working on what you need to work on to come together for a more cohesive biocosm for each of you, because each of you have to be benefit in that energy. You can't have one person that's constantly taking and harvesting, as I was. This time around, these phases are going to be set up by Source, and the biocosms for both are going to be offering nourishment and environment for the two to stay mutually nourished and mutually grounded in co-creator omni, because it's what you exist within. All right, so you need to have that energy. It needs to be safe, and it needs to be loving, so you're not constantly poked and prodded, and you're not constantly, in static and chaotic elastic form. You want to be as cohesive as possible, so that the creator gods can do what they're meant to do, is create. They're meant to get the downloads right from Source, and they're meant to put the ideas in the collective, and they're meant to create. And so that's why the creator gods are going to be cleared up. They're going to be released from a lot of their lower vibrational entanglements, because the creator gods have to get busy. We have to get busy, and we have to get creating. And so it's going to be important that we understand the intricacies. We have to understand the the threads that what goes on in energy. We have to understand the energetic experience, and how you understand your most highest and responsible role is to make sure that you're not going to be you're going to let go of what you're no longer dealing with, like really toxic environments and toxic dark occultists, things like that, because there's a lot of dark stuff that they have to work through, and it's not your responsibility to do that for them. And just remember that there are the three things that we always talk about as far as evolution. And you can ask yourself every day for you to refine your fields, for you to refine for your nourishment, so that you can maintain a cohesive field for these changes that are coming up, and for Source to always move you in the highest and the best. Because it's always up to Source. It's not up to you to say, you do the work, you do the vibrational work, but Source and your teams are always the ones that are guiding you and moving you and shifting you into the reality and the realms that you're going to be in, and who you're going to be working with, and how you're going to be working with them, and how you're going to be set up in a soulmate type of a situation. You're responsible for working through your karma and releasing those densities and getting your beliefs and perspectives in alignment, because a belief and perspective is somebody that does dark occults daily and does, criminal activities daily is going to be chaotic. It's going to be a chaotic, broken up, very dirty, dense field. Their chakras are barely moving, because they're not living in any truth at all. The more truth you live in, the more balanced and the more pure and pristine your field is. And then you have a more purified, rarefied, very powerful cosm. And then when you both come together, it's a biocosm, meaning that your biophysical features, your biophysical natures are going to be fed through the light that both of you are operating within. And it is a biocosmic field. And they were giving me the idea of photosynthesis, because our light and our energies are going to be feeding and changing and exchanging the source energy, that source light, and why we have to just get rid of chemtrails, because we are fed biochemically for it. We are fed in our nature aspects of it. And we're going to be going back more to natural order. and because we understand that it is how we've always been served. We don't have to worry about control, domination, or taking control of any one aspect of science and our reality, just allowing Source to do what Source does, and understanding what our job is to clear the karma and release your fear-based beliefs, and who you are within your fear-based beliefs. And so I just wanted to talk about it because it is important to talk about, and it helps us understand our topic today, which we're going to go into, is the love topic. So in that, I wanted to talk about, part of the energies of the discrimination cases against me, and the energies and the choices that were behind a lot of the activities. The main priority that I want to give the investigators is that always there were fabrications and control, illegal control of my life, right from a child, and how they were using and abusing my life in their unique ways to test and to benefit however they could. They had known, the shadow governments, the U.S. government and the Canadian governments knew right from the beginning who and what I was within my DNA. I have very sacred royal DNA. It will never come to this planet ever again. I am the last and final one that has the DNA makeup that I do. It has the DNA coding that I do, that has the celestial clusters that I do within my DNA and my makeup, and of course with all the experience that I have in allowing myself to move through many cycles of ascension, cycles, as well as integrating as many soul fragments, which then encompasses a grander soul, right? I am soul infused because the more soul fragments I integrate, the bigger my aura becomes, because I'm using those gifts, skills, and talents from all of those soul fragments that I'm integrating. Just as I've given you many experiences of that Arcturian life from the 1950s. And so why my work is always proven through doing the work, right? And so in these core, I want to establish the core foundations of what's gone on, because there will be books and things made of my experience for the entire collective, because it's a learning journey. And that's the sacrifice that I took, just as Jesus is still living on now, as the sacrifices that he took. But we want to end it now, because so that there's going to be no more. There's no more sacrificing. Sacrificingism is no more. It's not needed. It's not necessary. It's just absolute and utter wrong beliefs and corrupt beliefs from very wounded states of being, from very fear-based and dominated-based experiences. And it does have a lot to do with the primordial DNA and the consciousness of the primordials that did not allow their consciousness to expand beyond a certain level. It's very low consciousness when you're fight or flight, and when you're doing a lot of your living from fear-based domination, reality thinking, and believing in perspectives. And so that has been the perpetuation of the patterning of humans. And so it's because the divine masculines have been in a lot of the primordial experiences. Some of these are the Illuminatis from way back when. But because there hasn't been a lot of evolution in their DNA, and because they have not allowed themselves through their own practices to harmonize with source light, as we've just talked about, and get comfortable with their own biocosm of light and their own photosynthesis with light and their own harmonization, and like I show you at every day of my classes, it's that building that relationship and building that alignment with source and that communication with source and that connection with source. And if there's no connection, you're going to have a biophysical feature that is just more matter, and it's a darker matter than it is light. And therefore, thus then, as every ascension cycle comes on, and as there's light being bathed on the planet, the beings are not going to get that much opportunity to integrate that light, because again, there's so many corrupt agendas. There's so much going against humanity as far as biochemical warfare, chemtrails, the crap that's been going on with the politics, and the agendas within the political leaders and the elite leaders suppressing humanity, sound warfare, and all of the things that have been going on. I mean, it's just, you can't even count what's going on with humanity. It's very degrading on every level to try and suppress humanity from ever becoming source. And so now that we're calling it and we're putting it on the table, and now that Source has provided me with the honor of leading the planet into higher vibrational intelligent wisdoms, as I do have sacred tongue and I do have the vibrational multiversal power to call in whomever I wish to ensure that the Divine Father's plan moves forward. And it doesn't, and this goes with all the world leaders as well. So no world leader is above thine speech. And so when I come forward and say something, it is on behalf of the Divine Father's plan to move humanity and to move the planet forward into the galactic's position of evolutionary light wisdoms for all of creation, because it does create a benevolence understanding for all of the species across the multiverse, which I've been trying to offer to all of you, but it seems to go over the heads of most people that have their private agendas of just destroying people for their own private benefits, and part of my discrimination case will show you that. From the very beginning, the shadow governments had known who I was, and they had known about my special DNA, and they had known about, all of those things. Part of it, yes, Source said that I did have to be isolated because of who I was, and it was for protection. Yes and no. There is still an aspect of my life that required to have been left alone so that I could advance, so that I could evolve in the natural way that a human can in its environment and lineage and familial and ancestral experiences. And I did more than fine. I did exceptional. I've passed all. I'm talking on behalf of the Galactic Federation's review standards. This has nothing to do with earthly standards. I don't choose any earthly speech or guarding or guiding or judging or grading system. I don't use any of earthly grading systems. My jurisdiction is the heavens, so that's where I speak of. As far as the heavens are concerned, as far as the Galactic Federations are concerned, I have bypassed all standards of potentiality that they ever thought that I could, based on what was done and given and suppressed. There has been a lot of negotiation with my biophysical bodies. There's been constant updates and enhancements due to the damages of the various things we've talked about in the infractions and the crimes against humanity that I've taken on as a sacrifice so that I could show and I could tell and I could experience and express the damages and the dangers of dark occult voodooisms, due to the misguidance and the misbeliefs and the misinterpretations and simply just the wrong guidance of all. Satan and Lucifer are also employees under God's source creator. They are now under my realm and under my word. And we've been talking about sacrificing and the dangers of that and the misconceptions of Masons and Illuminati, thinking that they will gain ranking in sacrificing people and they will gain the gifts and gills and talents of somebody like me, when I've explained it 800 times that you just can't. If you're operating here in a lower vibrational dense, you will not operate in anything that I am. You might have a momentary little lisp of energy, but you will not have. The systems of light and the universe will not allow it. You have beings that work with you as far as your teams. You have your higher self that would never guide you into any of those experiences, so you know that you're not aligned if you're not going with your higher self. Your higher self would never tell you to do any of those things as far as destiny swaps and energy swiping and binding and bondaging and binding yourself to somebody that's really wealthy because you want to be taken care of. And I mean, all the crap that was done to me. It's all going to be written about in my book, and it will be coming out. I'm sure there'll be movies made and all of these wonderful things because it's quite dramatic. And it takes us through the processes of evolution as to how and what and why humanity believed to be true what they did. Not only that, not only the structure of the socio-familial social experiences in the collective of what I lived in a house, in a city, in a community. But then there was the original structure of systematic abuse and discrimination, which was from the shadow government. And the shadow government using the cults and covens in those substructures and subsystems of abuse, which then had their hands into all of the, which we all know because it goes on in every community, they had their hands into all of the business socioeconomic systems, churches, finance, banking, insurance, judge, judicial, legal, and which we're finding out right now that the cases and the things that have been done and the many ways that they tried to, create a mess and a swarm of chaos, which is what they do as part of their practice, as part of systematic abuse, is to impale so much chaos magic and chaos energy that they make up false claims and false crimes and false accusations, bring as many people in as they can, pay as many people as they can to corroborate, to bear false witness, to substantiate wrong and false claims, and all of these things that were done from that cult in Calgary and all of the others involved, as well as the underground dark web payments of, where they got their information for hits and voodooists and practitioners across the planet on who and how and why would come in, and how the far-reaching hands knew how and who to call for the deal, for are we going to get it done this time, and the many conversations that had taken place and the many people that were involved in the millions that were involved in trying taking me out. and to pay those on a regular basis to keep me distracted, to keep me suppressed, to keep me numb and dumb, like a walking slave. They just did so much magic on me that you never open up your third eye. You never want to go in within and meditate and connect with source. And their intentions right from day one was to keep me as a numb and dumb through black magic, through dark occult, and having it be a 24-hour thing where I was constantly handled and on black magic, from such a baby, and the many ways that the dark occultisms practice what they practice through physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, and sexual abuse and energetic abuse, and they work it on a 24/7 experience, which was done on me. Then, when certain experiences from the first structure of abuse that happened through the dark occult, and I'm giving this because it needs to be written out in pie chart. It needs to be written out in, the things that I've drawn out in a very, because we're going to be teaching investigators, Interpol. This is going to be teaching in classes in psychology and philosophy, as well as psychiatry. This has to all be extended. What I'm saying right now has to be extended into teachings and has to be studied and researched. And it will be taken into court. And then we're going to be making new laws out of it. So the first substructure of the shadow government, and not all cults and covens are paid by the shadow government. This one was because of who I was. Again, I'm the last one of the royal lineage. There is no more like me. This is it. So it was very important that Source will never have anyone touch me, of course. And Source allowed certain things so that, to work off some of my karma so that I could have enough experience to come forward and speak on all ends of the dodecahedron, that I could speak on all ends of all the experiences of systematic abuse, so that I can assist the children in their healing, and that I can create new systems for the Creator God systems, because it is a substantial abuse system that begins at the primordial state of fear-based belief systems, which goes through the species of draconian, reptilian, and all of the primordial species that are in the galactic frequencies. Some of them have taken themselves out of being potentiated for Christ consciousness because of the damages that they've done. And this was one of the tests for humanity, as I've been saying for many years, that I was the last gate as far as learning the lessons of do unto others and putting it into the basic speeches that I could, and I've offered, and I've done very well. The heavens and the multiverse are very proud of what I have done and how many people I've activated on the earth and how many people I've assisted in moving forward in their soul's path and plan. And so bringing it forward in that way to understand, but that sources, it's such a monumental task, and I'm going to be spending more time talking about it in the future, and it has to be its own topic on its own, the hybridized program, because it's such a profound, huge experience of our DNA and how it's established from the multiverse, and the species that are coming back into Christ consciousness, because Source wants every species to have its part in Christ consciousness for its evolutionary eternal life experience. That's Source's blessing, right? You all have potential to be eternally living, right? That's Source's love for you. But it does have to go back to your karma. How important is your soul's progression? If your soul's progression is not important to you and you continually play on the primordial basis of fear-based systems, fear and dominance over others, and you keep inducing these wrong belief systems of power over others in church and state, systematic co-creations, and we all know that all of our systems on our planet in every way are made and run by divine masculine. They're not evolved as of yet. They're just starting their healing. And so when they do that, they're going to have to start rebalancing their divine feminine energies, through which then they can play a more of a balanced part of creating higher evolutionary systems that will include all energies, of course, and divine feminine masculine energies playing an equal part, so that we can create balanced systems for everybody, and all the energies goes back to all peoples instead of it going back to the 5% elite. And then, of course, it's top-down corruption, which is what we're talking about and what we're exploring and what we're explaining to you. And this will all come out in court. This will all come out and has to be extensively researched, as what I'm explaining to you. It has to be done right from the top and right from the down. There is going to be evidence that will be pulled from everybody right from the top that has been involved, even though there has been much evidence that has been tampered with, that has been fabricated, has been false altogether. I haven't signed anything but my divorce. You've all known that. My truths are still the same. There hasn't been any investigator. Nobody has ever come to talk to me about anything. No government person, no investigator, no police. Nobody has ever talked to me about anything. I live a hermit life with Source Creator, and that is still the truth. If you go to my phone records and my bank records, you will find it because there's nothing there. My phone doesn't work and my banking is at zero because they've all stolen it and suffocated all the funds to go back to my ex and the cults and covens and all of the people that have been manifesting and manipulating my inheritance to pay the people that have been trying to take me out and trying to thwart, trying to suppress, trying to brain damage me, trying to make me forget my memory, trying to make me go crazy, trying to poke and pull at me, trying to damage me with various types of warfare that are obviously illegal, but they try these things because I'm an ultra human to see how I can get my way out of it and how advanced I am and how can I break the patterns and how can I assist humanity in moving forward while I'm getting nothing and I'm living out on the street. But they think it's funny to give me the Truman Show and to go through all of these illegal processes and to treat me like I'm a lab rat from a petri dish that they all knew they were all a part of. The shadow government and their agendas and on what groups were going to study me and who had what access to me, and then the minions who were going to get paid and what were they going to do and how were they going to handle me. And it just so happens that because God is God and because energy is energy and because the Christ is the Christ, and that is the more energy that I emit as God, the more energy I emit as just being me, authentic me. I don't choose to be anybody else on this planet. Obviously, in my uniqueness of my coding, in the uniqueness of my celestial DNA coding, and being authentically me as I've always been, it's allowed the people that have been a part of these corrupt groups of experience, some of them have allowed themselves to heal some of their wounding to the point that how they have allowed themselves to feel about me in very loving ways. And it's kind of thrown off thank you, Holy Spirit, it's kind of thrown off their way of their corruption against me and trying to take me out. And so that was all the divine plan. That was all under God's divine plan, because that was the hitch, if you will. That was the turning point, the cog in the wheel. Oh, there's my friend Jason. He finally drives by. He was going really fast. The cogs in the wheel. So the cogs in the wheel here, that was the cog in the wheel for them in their karmic experiences for them to get to the point where this is why it's taken so long, which I'm gonna battle that with Source until I'm blue in the face, because I was the token, and I had to carry it all and transmute it all, even though it was necessary. It had to be drawn out as much as it was, because all of these men that were involved, and they were men, and then the women had their own karma connected to it, but we're talking about divine masculine because of their wounding. Divine feminines are is a whole different pile of energy for healing. I'm going to talk about that at a different time. But I'm just putting this down because I see people that are writing this stuff down, because we do have to do research on this and the divine masculine healing. So there are people writing this down as I'm speaking. So let me get rid of that thing. And so for the divine masculine, because they had been in this experience of the shadow government, the elites, their untouchable experiences, and they thought they were their ego, where their ego was, how their wounding, how they operated in life. And then all of a sudden, this celestial starseed, right from her birth all the way up, tends to move herself through every sabotaging, every obstacle that they have put her through. All of the suppression, all of the black magic. And then somehow, as soon as she gets away from Calgary, she moves away from Calgary 7 years ago. She come over to the island where she was born and raised, and gets away from that black fog, and then she starts to heal herself, and then she starts to get the downloads from Source as to truly what the fuck's been going on her entire life, who has been involved, and these downloads coming out that I've been producing every day with the aligned readers on the planet. And these aligned readers on the planet have been, along with other people that have been involved, other people on the planet that have been involved, with the various cold cases, informations for investigators to help solving some of these crimes that are going to the authorities, and why we've always told you, take your confessions to the authorities, because it's a far bigger experience with the shadow governments and all of the agendas, the Epstein agendas, and all of the things that we're going through that were benefiting very elite people and very elite businesses and very elite projects that had nothing to do with humanity being involved in it on an informational base, a permission base, an authority base. And nor did we give any authorities for permissions or signatures on our biophysical experience, on our bodies, on our matter, on our energy, as well as our families being involved and targeted. All of these things were just arbitrarily saying, let's just target them and let's just keep up our studies and our experiments. And all of these things were done to me. And so in this, part of the divine masculine's healing, which God knew because God knows everything, God knew before it even occurred, that these were going to be the potentiations of these collectives of men that were involved. I'm just talking about the ones that were activated into their healing. The ones that were activated into potentially, again, it's not designed, it's not known yet because that's up to source. And these men have committed very serious crimes. And so it depends on how they move about in the rest of their soul's journey and the rest of their soul's progression. It is important that I speak about this because this is what's going to be happening in every city that pulls out these Masonic, Illuminati, corrupt rings of dark occult, stalking, spying, hacking, and swarming the people that they have been told to swarm and then handle and direct and then start pilfering and harvesting their finances and their energy and then going in to get the star seeds, the children. And this is how this is the process of what goes on. So I've explained it at a global level. There's global networks that these people are connected with, the online cults and global levels. And on these online cults, they go on, like I've just seen them sign on. 20 of them will sign on at once to see if they're going to open up the live stream chat line. And are they going to be able to get on and get some hate in there? And these people are paid. And this is just the systems that they do. They're just vampires. They don't have their own intelligence to say, you know, I'm not going to do this anymore. No, they just want the money. They just want the money to spread hate. And then they pay the cults and covens to do 24/7 rituals, especially on the full moons and the new moons. They go out and they even get more people to stand on and do the grave magic and all of those kinds of things that they do. They have all of these things that they do. And so they don't understand that in the all of all creation, source is source. And in the all of creation, and even the deities that they think they're calling on, they're not going to touch me. Because this is the Divine Father's plan of the multiverse, and there's been Trump called on everyone in every aspect of life and every aspect of energy, as we've told you about 1 million times. So anybody that they think they're doing in any of these rituals from here on out on this planet, because we're in a new realm of spiritual evolution, and because we're under a new realm of spiritual order, because we're under a new realm of spiritual leadership, none of these things will take place, and it's just going to go back to you, and you're going to have to face the chaos and the energies that you've created, and you're going to have to sort out again, how are you going to, move in your soul's progression? How are you going to alchemize that? How are you going to heal that? Now what are you going to do? And then you can do the 3 choices. Are you going to keep going into entropy through your fear-based primordial energy patterns? Entropy, Epstein, those types of things. Are you going to look at your wounds and try to get yourself to neutrality? Or are you going to go to the energetic frequency of being positive and loving and forgiving of yourself and then working your way back into the healing process through the 3 A's and the 3 E's? So I'm showing you in the corruption and how and why and what it occurred. We have to go into further studies and researches, and then there'll be further studies and there'll be further people that will come forward in the psychology, psychiatry, all of those fields after we understand this collective wounding experience on why people have chosen to do what they've done. A lot of it is dogmatic trauma. A lot of it is dogmatic misinformation, misalignment, misguidance, it's just a lot of wrong information about energy, about who we are, what do we exist with, what's going on with us. And if you do deviate, and if you're not healed, and if you're living from your wounding, it creates exactly what has been happening in the Calgary cult, which is the ones that were attacking me. We want to keep going back because there's things important here that we're alchemizing as we're doing this. We're pulling it out. It's all on the table. We're going to pull it out. And we're alchemizing it. There's many things that have to be done from this point forward. So now that all of the Calgary cult not wanting to face what they were doing, so they dumped their blame on me. A lot of their crimes and their claims were accused on me, the victim. When I don't even live anywhere near these people, I don't even know any of them. I was estranged with my ex for 8 years. And again, I've only signed my divorce, and everything else is a fabrication. But because the police were involved, there was 2 police that I was told that were paid to be involved and to not say anything and not do anything. So because there were so many people that were involved in the systematic abuse, right from the shadow government all the way down, and because everybody was getting paid in the city, that the shadow government probably didn't even know all of the people that were getting paid in the inner city part of it, because they were paying innocent people to go bear false witness on who I was and what I was and what the stories were about me when they didn't even live near me. They didn't even know. They didn't even see me at any point of any time. How could they ever tell? But again, I'm just giving you, these are the truths of the story of me, so that the picking and the pulling of evidence is right here. My story has been the same from day one, but nobody's talked to me about it. They've believed these people that are in these cults and covens that are there to benefit those that are trying to keep my money from my lineage, my ancestrals, back within the shadow government, because they do not want to give me the monies that are mine, because they know that it will go back towards the Father's plan and back towards the people, based on the lineage and based on what the Father has deemed and so forth, and what we're doing as far as our Creator God, systems that I'm going to be making up and I'm going to be a part of. And so in that, there was a lot of, right from the time that I was born and from the 1950s, there was a lot of non-accountability and people trying to hide things. And again, the destroying of evidence, the fabrication of evidence, the tampering with evidence, there's a lot of that that's gone on. So all of these things right from the top will have to be, pulled apart and gone through with people, by people that are of integrity. Right? So Source is going to be assisting, and Source is going to be making sure that the right people that have the right integrity and the right values and morals to go in and be a part of really going with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that those people that are in the judicial system and that are in legal and policing system are going to do this right this time, because it obviously hasn't. They've all been so easily swayed and paid to be a part of the damage and the demolition, because they all 300 believed, that's their belief systems, their beliefs and their perspectives, based on all of the previous histories, that there was no way I would survive. There was no way that I would survive. I would look like the various cases that we see in our collective, like the Wendy Sykes, that Wendy girl that was, she was systematically abused, and her health and her mental health went down, and there was people managing her finances. This is the same example, except mine was a bit more treacherous because there was more involved, and my spiritual name carries much more ranking in the underground black web, which they used as as their money making, wealth and clout. They all think in that primordial energy it's all about clout and power and domination. Again, I've given many experiences. We have to just keep putting this in the research. We have to putting this in our research. We have to put this in the dissecting of who and what we are at a psychological, philosophical point of view. And these people thinking that they're going to get gifts and skills and talents on the abuse energy side of it, and how much they're going to harvest, how much they're going to take. There's a drawing of the line, if you will. It doesn't matter what their plans or their rituals or anything was. Spirit on the other side will always have a drawing of the line when they see what people are doing to an innocent victim, and they'll say enough is enough based on that person's destiny, that soul's blueprint, and what they are here to do, which they've done to me. They've had to do with me over and over and over again. And that's the only reason, again, why I'm here. Spirit also did have to put me back together 4 times, so that there was so much damage done to my biophysical, my spiritual, and my aura field, and all of the things that were involved, and how many people were constantly, relentlessly attacking me in vibrational warfare, in biophysical warfare, MK Ultra, and the various physical aspects of poisoning and so forth, which I'd been poisoned a couple of times. What those had to do, they had to go in and fix it, and I would go into the light ships and they would enhance and they would, continue to work on me. But Spirit on that side of it, they do call enough is enough. They call judgment, they call uncle. So it doesn't matter, again, the earthly experiences on how these earthly dark people think that they're going to play God and they're going to, trump God's, plan for evolution for all of humanity. They're going to take whatever life they want. They don't have the right, and they don't have the access. Spirit, as from we've said, the laws are, nobody's going to be touching and taking any more star seeds. You do these rituals on star seeds, you're going to get it right back, and you're going to be immediate karma. There are immediate karma prosecutions that everybody is going to be acting on in the spirit realm, the ancestral realm, as well as the archangels, because we're moving forward in the Divine Father's plan. And what is more important than anything is your Divine Soul's blueprint, which is all the things that I've taught. So again, if you know what you know, who you are, what you exist, what's going on within you, you have your soul's blueprint, you're operating within the universal laws and the Divine Soul's blueprint that I teach, then you're always going to be on the right side of karma, and you're always going to be reclaiming your power, reclaiming your voice, reclaiming your spiritual power, and then you're going to be teaching it to your children. So they're not going to be used, and they're not going to be harvested, and they're not going to be taken to the underground for luring of the black web and luring for their organs and then being thrown into the ocean, which is a lot of unfortunately children do. And you've seen me on my show, and I'm transferring a lot of these spirits back to source because they will be given a 5D life, because it's not their, it wasn't their, they will be given back into the Christ consciousness program. But there's situations like these people that are doing these rituals, they won't be given access to the Christ consciousness program. So again, as I've said in my many videos, is the last 3D timeline. You do have to earn your consciousness. If you're choosing to be ignorant as such and continually to put your species in risk and harm, and choosing to do such dark occult practices, and that's all you're going to do is keep taking people out because you think that's the answer to bind them and to dominate them and to not have them be with anybody else but you. So you go and do stupid things. You're putting all of your lineage and your species in sacrifice, because there's no more tolerance on the planet anymore. We don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care about your voodoo practice. I don't care. There's been the top practitioners on the planet come against me. I don't give a fuck who you think you are with your fucking black magic BS. I don't give a fuck how important you are with your money in your bank and how many people that you've paid to come at me. That's the next part we're going to talk about. So now that we've talked about the basic skeleton of the performa, right? The performa of what's gone on. And this has gone on since, I'm going to only go back to the 1950s. Of course, it's gone on previous to that, but we're going to talk about it from the 1950s to now, because the North American continent and the systems of the socioeconomic systems have been set up and dominated and led and manifested by divine masculines that are wounded. So we need to look at this and face it, and we're pulling it out chunk by chunk today, so that all of you can go to your homes and you can say, what are we doing on this micro macro experience, and how am I working with it here, so that I can really move into a new integrity of love and inform information and higher wisdoms and higher intelligence, so we can really start pulling all of this stuff out and untangling it all and really facing it. Because there's still a lot of divine masculines that wear a lot of masks, that think that they're being truthful and honest and have integrity, but they're not. They're just hiding behind many of the other lies they're not willing to come forward with yet, which is my next part. This is part 2. And so we're going back to, again, we're going to return back to the discrimination case within me. There's been monies that were hidden, and the shadow governments were in charge of, and they were the handlers of how and what and how, who saw me, who was able to see me. How was I presented to the collective? Because again, if I was out to the collective, then the collective would be awakening. The collective would be getting their souls activated. They would be activating their biophysical experiences. They'd be activating their star codes and so on and so forth. And that was part of the Divine Father's plan. But there was all of these shadow agendas. And of course, the shadow agendas and where their beliefs were held, now it's different, because some of the people that are there and most of the collective are now awakening to, yes, there is a God, there is a Divine Father, there is a plan for ascension. And so now they've seen enough evidence, they've seen enough of what I've come forward and presented. So a lot of the work that I have done has been energetic work, and they're seeing, yes, there is movement, physical movement behind my energy, behind my words, and they've all seen it. It's been proven, and all of you know it. And that's why the best voodooists on the planet, you're going to be shown just as well. Your magic will never be more powerful than me. Your stuff will never be more powerful than me. Your magic, your wands, whatever it is you think you're doing, will never be more powerful than me. And this goes across the planet. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what the thing is. There is nothing greater. There is nothing more powerful. And this is why I'm in the state that I'm in. This is why I'm in the position that I am. This is why God is the one that is the only one that initiates. God is the only one that says, these are the people that have passed initiation. These are the ones that are the true warriors. These are the ones that have gone up and gotten up again and again and again. And you're not going to have anybody that's from the back forest of anywhere come forward and say, I'm going to beat you up and take all your gifts. And then we're going to give it back to Satan and Lucifer. No, they're all working for me now. Because you got to understand energy, which we've been talking about. So go back to my videos. I'm not going to go over it again. I'm not going to waste more of my time. We're going to go from here. Energy is energy. They're all employees of God. When enough is enough is enough. God's got his hand on everybody right now, and everybody's being watched. Period. If you're going to continue your dark occult practices, you're going to get it right back. Period. If you're not going to follow universal law, if you're not going to follow the laws that I speak of every day on my show, then you deserve to sit where you sit in your karma, period. Nobody's going to pull you out. Nobody's going to babysit you. Nobody's going to protect you. Nobody's going to hover you or covet you, period. You chose dark and light. You chose to spit on God over and over again. You cannot play both sides, period. You are responsible for your soul's progression. You're responsible for clearing your karma. The only way to do that is truth and making it right. Because if you're not truthful, you're not clearing any of your damages that you have done to anybody by lying and hiding behind masks, period. So in this, some of the people that were in that 300 have awoken because they now seen, and they've seen enough proof that as I've been speaking my light, as I've been speaking God, divine plan, all of these things are now physically starting to manifest and take shape, as we said they would. But you didn't have to keep going and doing what you're doing in your circles, but now you've gotten yourselves so much into their mess that they're, again, everything that has been said against me is being reviewed by other lawyers and other investigators because they know that what's been done has been absolute corrupt and fabrication and falsification. So now they're going to be clearing my name on everything that's been said and done about me because it's been absolutely false and fucked, corrupt as F. While I'm sitting on the street fighting for my human rights, not having a penny to do this, but God has allowed all of these investigations to go through on the energetic side because there's so many dimensions involved, so many realms involved, so many people involved, and there's been another universe involved. So this is why it's been so complex and why it's not just so plain. No, we've had to pull things from every bit of energetic experience because some of these people are in the now regions of this 5D. And they have to clear up their karma that they sit in a 5D body thinking that they got away with it. But now all these crimes from 3D are now coming up saying, now how are you going to face it now? You're about to go into 5D, but you can't go into 5D yet because you haven't cleared out these 3D timelines and karmas. Does that make sense? It's very complex. It's very confusing. And the only reason why any of this is even in the public right now is because I'm a conduit and I can explain it to you. Nobody else would be able to explain it. Because there's going to be so many people come forward and say, well, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense because it's a different timeline, it's a different realm, it's a different era. It's even a different universe. That's why sometimes the paper, when you go back to the paper's not there, but the paperwork's going to be here in a different timeline. This is what investigators and policing has to understand, because they think if they go back and look for it once and they don't find it once, they're not going to go back and look for it again because they say, well, it wasn't there the first time. No, it's going to be there now because it's a different timeline. It's a different realm. You have to understand multidimensional reality, people. We need to level up. Again, which is what I've been saying. Because these people that have been all guilty doing what they've been doing, and the horrible things that were done against me, also done against many others. More so against me because I've had to survive it and be the sacrifice of it so I can come and teach it. These people will be held for their crimes against me and against humanity because I was the pivotal teacher for humanity so that I could bring humanity up and up and up the scale on all of these multidimensional things that you have to know going into 5D. We have to know what I talk about going into 5D. Because if you just look at a linear timeline and say, well, I looked at it back in Memphis and back in Memphis and this story and that story and that story. No, we're doing, timelines are shifting like this now. Timelines are shifting like this. Even though you looked at something in an investigation here, no, you're going to go back and look at it again because it's going to be there because we're in a different vibration right now and we're in a more truthful vibration. The spiritual grids are now active. You're going to find that piece of information. Go look for it again. You're going to find it. A piece of paper, something's going to come up. An email, a voice message, somebody's phone. If you go back and you have any of the devices from the people that were involved or the guilty parties that were involved, go back and look at their phone records again. There's going to be something come up because the grids that you're in now, the timeline that you're in now, the information that's ready now, the people that are coming forward now, the confessions that are coming forward, the whistleblowers, spirit working on the other side, there's so much coming out right now. Plus, we're in a different timeline. So look at the evidence again. Investigators. Thank you. And so in this, now we have to look at the people that were at the top of the direction, the ones that were directing the cults and covens and the little witches to keep hitting me and all of those things at the various ages of my life. And why I've never had a long-standing love relationship. They've all been paid evil people. I'm going to talk about this and then I'm going to get on my channel. We're going to leave that because there's been a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. This is what goes on in my head, right? This is what I see. I have to dissect it and we're going to study it. It's going to be pulled out and we're doing research. We're starting higher education or higher intelligence. So in this, because it has to do with the hybridized program, we have to know this for the hybridizations programs. We are the school of the galaxy. We can't not know this. Starseeds on the planet, we need to offer them higher education because what we've been doing has been suppressing and subjugating them, and we all know it. Well, I mean, there's no kid that loves going to school anymore because it's archaic. It's like, this is what we teach our kids. So at the top, they're the elites, right? There are some Epstein agendas of the elites, and then they have their little private agendas. And then there's the US government and the Canadian government, and they knew who I was. They had in their backs of their minds the various discussions on how and what they wanted to use me for, without considering me, with no permissions, with no authority. If they did, which I was told, they spoke to my parents, but they were very, what was that word you used, Spirit? They're very precarious on the wording that they used, so that they didn't, and plus they talked to people that didn't have higher intelligence, to say yes or no. The people that I was brought up with, they didn't have higher education, and they chose these people to be vulnerable with, right? Because they were vulnerable, they didn't know. So the government comes in, uses fancy messages, make it sound all, oh, we're going to do testing, we're going to study her, she does this and she does that. And meanwhile, the parents are saying, oh, okay, it sounds like it's fine for her, But meanwhile, it's MK Ultra, and they study for your whole entire life, and it's not just 1 week or 1 month. It's like your whole fucking life. So, but again, all of these things they don't tell you, right? It's very the innuendos that they say are sign on the dotted line. Meanwhile, their agendas are like this thick of the things that they're going to do to you from here till the time that you catch on, or you die, which was what was their intention. Their intentions and the intentions for this court case was that their intentions were right from day one. All of them knew there was no way that I was going to survive, and all of them signed on for it. That's why there were so many people involved, because nobody had ever survived before. Nobody was ever going to survive, and they were going to keep doing whatever they were going to do to make sure that I didn't survive and I didn't speak up. As much as doing whatever they could to my brain and the memory through biotechnical warfare to make sure that they were going to erase my memory however they could, which again, I've talked to you many times about. The brain is one of those function tools on the planet and in the spiritual realm that they take very seriously. If anybody touches your brain in any way, they take it very seriously as to how and what gets touched in the brain and why. And the federations and the systems of light and your soul's contract with God will step in. So you have to be very aware. The brain, nobody is touching your brain. Even your spiritual team, they have to have spiritual beings that are on the highest level when they start doing the enhancements on your brain for multidimensionality. In times like this, where we're shifting over from a 3D to a 5D, because it's totally different mindsets, concepts, and conceptual thinking. And it's a very, and when it comes to, I've also talked about this because nobody else talks about it, but I do. This is why you cannot say my stuff is your stuff. It's not, because you wouldn't know anything about what I'm talking about. You're not taking these downloads. These people that just steal and take and rape. When we talk about the memory, your spiritual guides that are in the 7th dimension have to get approval from God on what's being taken from your memory. And then these low vibrational 3D people use their low vibrational 3D technical warfare to try and erase your memory. Again, we have to level up here, people. The things that have been done have been beyond egregious and beyond cruel and unusual and beyond abhorrently dangerous on all levels, illegal on all levels, for one thing. I mean, hello. Anytime that your team's at the 7th dimensional level, this is how we got to wake up. We got to get right here, people. We got to get right here. The 7th dimensional level of the people that are geniuses, right? These 7th dimensional beings are geniuses. They're 7th dimensional. They can look through your body with their eyes and their capabilities and their gifts, their skills and talents. They can look through all that you are as a physical matter, and they can see your DNA. They can see into your, these are how genius these people are. These beings are. So at this level of 7th dimension, I'm just trying to get my thing here. Seventh dimensional of these beings that do this. This is their specialty. They enhance humanoid brains for the process of evolution. What needs to be enhanced? How much light do we put there? How much light do we put in the DNA? What else do we need to enhance? Because it's them, right? We are versions of them, just in another version of dimension. So they're us. So they want the best of us. They want the best for us and of us. And so they're working on enhancements of your brain. Meanwhile, the earthlings are doing just fuck shit. They fucked around my DNA when I was first born. The teams had to go in and fix the splicing of it, because the way they spliced the DNA was just like crude and it wasn't good at all. They said it was just very juvenile. So the Celestials had to go in and fix, how they did the splicing. for the type of DNA that I have. And since then, I've had to constantly be enhanced and constantly being helped, right, by the celestials and their high vibrational, high technology, light and sound concepts of natural healing, right? It's not with tools that you rip out your skull and you open your skull up. No, these people do it through light and sound and like high vibrational healing things. So at the seventh dimensional, your teams have to talk with God, the Father, and the Father of all creation, of all life, of all creation, of all DNAs, of every aspect of DNA, every aspect. I want everybody to grasp this. This is how serious and this is how big and this is how profound we are. This is how profound God's plan is. This is how profound God is. I say these things, I'm not superfluous. I say these things in the energy, in the intention, in the perfection, in the profundity, in the exactness, in the multidimensionality of the allness, of the quirkness, of all that is Source Creator. I want everybody to understand this. Me on one person that was abused to the lengths that I was in the every way that I was, physically, mentally, emotionally, biophysically, biochemically, voodoo-y, like energetically, financially, sexually, everything that was done to me. When I'm sitting on the table on a light ship and they're going in to fix me, Spirit and the Father, because the Father's in me, the Father is outside of me, the Father's in every being that's around the table, enhancing me and fixing what humans have done to me. I'm on the table, and the Father and my higher self and all of my teams are all in the discussion, and they say, Father, we have to take this one experience that is circling around her field, this one issue that is circling around her field. It keeps circling around, it is holding her up in her evolution because of the trauma that she experienced. We cannot move forward unless this one aspect that is moving around her field, that is holding her evolution up, which holds all of the higher vibrational levels up. Why? Because if I'm not moving up, they're not moving up. And this is why we keep saying, are you sure you're going to let your whole species go because you have a thing and you just don't want to heal yourself, because you just are so jealous, because you just want her to be on your team, because you just want her to be in your body or your home, and you have all of these psychoses about selfishness and greed and no sense of self. Again, it's just ignorance. So if there is something because of the trauma that I experienced here, and many of these children coming up from trafficking will have to go through, we have to know these things. So because they experienced this one horrible trauma that the Satanists and the ritualists do, and they put them in so much fear, because that's how they feed off the fear energy. And because of this one trauma that keeps cycling around and around, they cannot enhance any other part of my multidimensionality unless this is healed. And this is a what? What is this? It's a psyche memory. It's a memory. It's a part of the psyche. So they have to ask Spirit. They have to ask, okay, God, Father, what are we going to do with this one particle of density? We need to clear this density to work on all of the other aspects of her. We need to fix the DNA. We need to fix the DNA. And of course, all of the other humans on planet Earth that are also connected with the DNA, because guess what? Your Christ consciousness is connected with the DNA. My DNA is connected with all other DNAs. Because that's Christ consciousness. It's called multidimensionality. That's how come I can talk to your DNA. That's why when you go in for a healing, you can talk to the DNA. Only through those that are initiated, and through God. If God says it's ready to heal, God will allow it to be healed. But of course, people that aren't that wise, that don't know what I know, that aren't initiated through God, that aren't initiated through the heavens, they don't know these things. They'll never know what I know. So the teams are asking, and we're all on this beautiful light ship, and they have to fix what's been done. They ask, Father, what part of these densities are we allowed to touch? And the Father gives the notice. The Father gives the yes or the no. And the Father will actually say sometimes, it is important for her to transcend this, and I know she's going to transcend it because we're so close. I've got something planned for her. We're going to bring about this healing experience on Monday. And her and I are going to walk through this. And then that density gets slowly broken up. Slowly gets broken up, and then I integrate it, and then I say, okay, now I know, I understand why that process was there. There are situations where the trauma was so bad that the Father will just say, yes, you can release that. And they put light on it, and it's released. And that has been transmuted. And that has been done on me. I don't need that memory. So Father said, yes, put light on it. Because the Father looks at everything. How have I helped this week? Who did I did that? I did a healing on that person. I did all of these things that I do, and the Father says this is going to hold up. We're not quite there on the healing yet. She really doesn't need that because she's healed other things in this. This is why it has to be done at source level, because there's nobody's here. Nobody on earth would know that kind of shit. You didn't know. You wouldn't even come close to knowing it. You didn't even come close to explaining it like I explain it. Again, respect for thine self, please, people. You're not even there. And I'm saying this in the most polite way that I can. We need to level up intelligence about who we are. We're divine people, and the Father has the Father's hand on everything. The more you fuck with it, the more the Father's going to come in and say, enough is enough. How much are we going to tell you? So I'm explaining it in point blank terms here. We have to understand this. We have to take my discrimination case, pull it apart on every level, and do research, and get information out there, get education out there, and let's get smarter and wiser. And stop fucking with people's brains and stop fucking with black magic. Because it's only going to be your demise. And not only that, the black magic messes with every aspect of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and every other part of you. So the Father gives the Father's okay. That memory was taken away from me. It doesn't get forgotten about in the Akashic records. It doesn't get forgotten about in the karmic records. It doesn't get forgotten about on what you have to clear for your karma. Make no mistake about that, because the damage is fucking done. I carried it. Still my trauma, still my PTSD. I carried it. That's why your confessions don't mean anything for me. The confessions, yes, they mean something for other people if that's going to make them, because it's been so long now. It's been 50 years. What the fuck? No, I've carried it. I've carried all the lies. I've carried the fabrication of the birth records. I've carried it all. What are you going to say now? Oh yeah, I already know that. Source already told me. Duh. I'm the one bringing it to you. Because none of you had the balls, none of you had the courage to come and say, this is what actually was done. This is my second part, and this is the final part. Those that are at the final, those that are at the top, and all of those that had the agendas of why they did what they did, and how they kept it going, and how they kept the studies, and how they kept the experiments, and how they were involved in all ways, but refused to tell me, refused to come forward and say, that's not really ethically right, we shouldn't really be doing that. Nobody did the right thing. Nobody stepped out of their conscience because they were so concerned about their agendas, their monies that they were getting paid, how the information that they were getting fed, and all of the ways that I was benefiting them. And again, I'm going to go back and say, I haven't been given one penny from anybody. This is just how greedy and selfish these people are. They don't give a shit about what they've done to you. They don't give a shit about the trauma they've caused you. They don't give a shit about anything except their agendas, their information, their analysis, their technology, however they wanted to go about and use me as their pawn, as their little rabbit in their petri dish, and to infuse as much as they could in me and to see how much I could get out of, and using me for their little hunting game, and they can get their little exploitation out of me, put me in the black web and a bunch of videos and suffering videos and get even more money out of me. I mean, how many ways I was exploited, you can't even count. It got so out of hand. There was so many people involved, and everybody made fucking money off of my demise. And me being bullied, me being in chat rooms, and me being, as you can see, the live stream hate, if I turn the comments on, it's going to come right back. This is the game of the low vibrational, satanic, Luciferian hate groups and the online groups that create hate. And then some of the YouTube accounts do get suppressed, and they're being paid by also all of these people. There's no way you can win. There's no way you would get out of this swarming, suffocating. We're here to use you. We're here to abuse you. We're here to enforce abuse. We're here to enforce false court cases, false claims, false this, false that. Meanwhile, the children are at home. The children have no light in their house. The children have no mother that loves them inside and out, knows everything about them inside and out, and is their guide. I'm their guide here on earth because I'm psychic and I'm their guide. That's the contract I have with these children. But am I there? No, they're sitting in the house with their father's black ass magic, being told lies about who I am. And even in some of the city experiences, some of the city documents, I'm dead. And they've made some money off of me in that being dead. They've taken donations off me being dead. I'm not dead, I'm here. But because my channel is suppressed, because the information's been changed, the information's been fabricated, nobody knows where the hell I am, nobody knows even who I am, except the shadow government. They're the only ones that still know what the fuck happened. And they're still the elites that are still playing their games, trying to figure out how they're going to get out of it. Because there's always an online tracking. There's always the clicks and the ticks on the computers. There's always the people that were getting paid. There's always the information that's there about me. I'm in the analysis. I'm in the recording. I'm in the patterning of humanity. I'm in the patterning of ultra-human. I'm in the pattern of those that are elite. I'm in the pattern of, I'm saying elite, of DNA and higher consciousness. I was studied. There was nobody that asked me. Nobody asked me if they could study me. Nobody asked me if they could test off of me. Nobody asked me if they could use me for any level in any reason whatsoever while I sat homeless without any money at all, sleeping on the street. I just want to put this out on the table because this is what's going to go on the court, because this is what pisses me off. That's what pisses me off. If you would have come to me and said, I'd like to study your high consciousness, how about we design a contract so that you're okay, I'm happy, we're all within the human rights here, and we're all going to do this on up and up on the above board. But it wasn't done that way on any level. They took this information, they used my parents' vulnerability, my so-called parents, who knows what they are, because I still don't have the truth from the government. I'll get the information from God, because right now everybody and their dog is just liars. They're all cowards. Cowards, 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 cowards. You're cowards. You haven't done anything to give me peace. None of you have done anything to bring me peace. You've all gone about your own agendas. You've all gone about your own information. You haven't come to ask me if I do this, would this be okay? No, you've taken my choice out of it. You've taken my free will out of everything to do with my life. There's been nothing in my life that I've had free will with. Nothing I've been free will. They place people in front of you. They place setups in front of you. They place this in front of you. Everything has been Truman Show. To see how I'm going to get out of it, how much abuse I can take, how much suppression I can take, how much numbing and dumbing I can take, and then hopefully lure me into trafficking so they can make more money out of me in the underground. That was the intention. To use me, to investigate off me, to study off of me, to take off my body parts, to take my soul, my spirit, to put me in different rituals. I mean, they had all of these things planned to make as much money off me as possible, and then to have me die in their hands so that they could use me and study and experiment and take and extract whatever they wanted from me. I still don't know the answers on my true family. Supposedly there's a twin out there that kind of looks like me, and she's an evil person, evil twin. The people I grew up with are not my family, obviously, duh. But it's just a game to them. I'm only one of millions. It's a game. They have agendas of lists of people and lists of names and lists of addresses. Who are they going to test on? Who's going to go what? The FBI know, the CIA know, and there's a certain coding by your name. And if that certain coding is by your name, this person can go to whatever links they want in the city, and these cities will actually look by paperwork, pass by paperwork, and they will actually put them in false claims and put them in jail if they have to, just to suppress them and isolate them. These people will do anything. And this is where the father said no, because there's no way she's going into jail. There's no fucking way. The father was rolling over in the heavens. These people are just so disgusting. These people would have put me in a jail for their crimes while I'm moving little wormies to the soil. And I'm putting codes that have never been put on the codes on this planet. This is just how diabolically stupid it is, ignorant as fuck. No consciousness at all on the levels of intelligence that I bring to this planet that's never been done before. The levels of intellect I bring to this planet. The levels of intellect and the levels of information and wisdom that I bring about Source Creator and what's truly going on as a soul's ascension process. Clueless. Mind-boggling clueless. All they care about is, are they getting the analysis for their projects and their programs? Some of them are not even in the same project program. They don't care. They saw somebody that was elite in their DNA, in their humanoid status, and they wanted to study however they want to study me. And some of the elites didn't care, because they were just using me and suppressing me in one way. They had my ancestors' money. They didn't care. And I'm sleeping on the streets. I'm talking about human rights every day. I'm talking about the children being trafficked and who's going to heal them. I'm talking about here how we can heal worldly systems, human issue systems, human social systems. And I'm the one sleeping on the street, freezing my ass off every night. Coming forward every day, speaking about human rights, speak up, people. This is systematic abuse on its worst level. There's just no. I can take it from any level, whether you're talking about the brain, whether you're talking about the DNA, whether you're talking about the species, whether you're talking about hybridized progress, whether you're talking about Christ consciousness. I can take it on any level that you want to talk about, and I'll extend it into 1,000 times, into 1,000 levels of the DNA of everything to do with evolution into the paradigms of a dimension, of a dimensional thread. I'm looking at the threads right now of a dimension. I can go there. None of you know that because none of you get it. Because you're not there yet. Your consciousness is not there yet. This is why I'm saying, this is why God saved me. This is why God is the only being that will touch my brain. This is why God is the only being that will write my destiny with me, step in step, foot in foot, shoulder to shoulder. This is my planet now. You don't make the rules. You never did and you never will. Those of you that have been a part of the 300 that have been abusing me and doing your dumb ass set up plots and plans and your little schemes, you're going to give me exactly what I'm asking for. I want my appropriate, correct, and accurate birth records. And I want my ID based on those birth records and that data. And you're going to give me a passport for those informations, and you're going to give me an apology letter for being so cowardly and wasting my time and my life. Those people that have been involved in testing and studying me and not coming forward with 1 ounce of gratitude and appreciation and not giving me not even 1 penny because you don't want to be accountable for the stuff you've already done behind the scenes that's illegal. I don't care how you were using it. I don't care in what way you were using it. And don't call it a misunderstanding. It's not a fucking misunderstanding. It's illegal as fuck. Human rights are human rights. And there's crimes against humanity when my life has been delayed over 30 years because all of you want to play little tag boy in your human hunting games and your sex cults. I'm calling all of you out. All 300 of you. You will have to go through your own gates of your karma. And many of you have hidden, and you have withheld the truth, and you've withheld the truth, and you've withheld the truth. This is my final statement. When I said years and years ago, it makes a difference when somebody has been done wrong so much, and so deep, and so wide, that when they're asking for truth, and when they're asking for just a slight morsel of peace, so that they have the information so that they can carry on and transmute and go through a process like me, as accurate, as an intricate as I am, as a transmuter, as a healer, as a queen of the heavens, as a queen of the earth that's trying to lift humanity, that's trying to show the children that there's a way, that's trying to show the children there is love and compassion, to show the systems that we can do it a different way. In all that I'm here to do and all that I carry, none of you will have a clue on how much I carry for humanity and all creation in the Father's plan. Nobody carries what I carry. Nobody's been through what I've been through. Nobody's been through the wars that I've been through. None of you have a clue, except my guides and my couple of clients that know exactly who I am and know exactly the work that I put into what I do. And there's a handful of them. There's a handful of my clients that know exactly who I am as a spirit. And all of the consciousness in the multiverse that are at my side and behind me and around me and up above me and above below me, they're not going to allow anybody to touch me. Why? Because they know how much I do for the multiverse. They know how much I do for the Father. And all the species that nobody even knows about. And the grids. And the oceans. I mean, it goes on and on, the list that I do. I'm unblemished in my power and my capabilities. But what makes me so angry? That none of you have ever come forward with 1 inch or 1 morsel, 1 quark of anything is truth. Because that's what I stand for. And that's how come I make changes, because I am truth. What has pissed me off since day 1 is that I have suffered alone, on my own, with only source, and with all the angels and with all my celestial friends and my angelic friends that see me cry and suffer with nothing. And I cry on the side of the street, and I cried in the back of my car when I had my car, and all of the belongings I had were in my car because I was away from my children and they couldn't see my light and they couldn't see my love and they couldn't see me just be so happy that they woke up in the same house as me because I could tell them one more day how great they were because I wasn't told it when I was a kid because I got thrown around and I got touched around and I got shit all over because I was different than everybody else because I could predict a phone call when it comes in and who it's by. And I could not be me because I was so different than all of you at your low consciousness levels. And what pisses me off to this day is that these so-called elite people that have everything going for them in their fancy fucking houses, and they've got everything going for them, and they can pull out $1 billion if they want to right out of their back pocket. But does anybody send me $1 or a dime? Does any of them send an apology letter to me saying, we're so sorry we did this, what we're going to do right now, we're going to do it yesterday? None of them ever did any of this. They waited and 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 they waited to see how much and if I was going to die. Because that was the best result, that was the best opportunity. And if not, some of them even fell in love with me. And then they'd still wait, and they still wait, and they still wait before coming to me with truth. Why? Because it's so much easier hiding. Well, it gives you ease, but it doesn't give me ease, does it? Because wouldn't it have been easier if you would have told me the truth right from the beginning, instead of me finding it out, because I'm the one going through the minutia, and I'm the one doing the alchemy, and I'm the one doing the churning, and I'm the one actually doing the work. Wouldn't it have been better for me not to have gone all of this processing of through the darkness and through the shadow, which I've had to carry since I was a child, 54 years of other people's lies and fabrications and falsifications and fabrications and false accusations and defamations and discriminations and exploitations. I've carried it all. I've carried it all for all of you, 300 involved. And your voodooists and your warlocks and the people fixing the paperwork and the people in the insurance office, I'm going to tear apart every one of these insurance scams. Every insurance office that's ever been put on a piece of paper with anybody that's put on over by a sacrifice, you better bet I'm going to rip your insurance company right upside down. I'm coming for you. If you take out insurance forms and you see the same name on an insurance form over and over and over again and you don't do your due diligence, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you. And I'm going to name your name. I'm going to name your business in the papers. I'm going to name your business everywhere I can. And the police that allow these things to go on, and the police that allow these people to walk around and do more crimes to people and do more harvesting from the children and do more cloaking from the children, because that was me when I was 7 or 8 and 9, 10 years old and nobody gave a fuck. And I said, people are touching me. And nobody listened. But I had to go through 50 years of more abuse. But instead of anybody coming to me and saying, no, here's your real father, here's your real documents, here's the money that we've hidden from you, here's this and here's that, we've been doing about 600 testing on you and 3,000 other rituals on you, and let's just make this right for you. No, you just hide more, you do more fabrication, you hire another hitman from the black web, you hire another assassin, you put 3 more stalkers in the parking lot. This is what you do. So again, entropy, 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 and then what? You go to Epstein Earth, see you later, bye. I'm still going to move up, and you're still going to be caught in your karma, and you're not going to go anywhere because you're cowards. Wouldn't it have been better if you came to me, as I said 3 years ago, and it could have been dealt with silently, quietly, in an office, and nobody had to know anything, and you could have paid me out my money, and I would have taken payment for suffering and PTSD and being homeless and not being with my kids and everything that you've destroyed on purpose, with maliciousness, with intention, with 24/7 relentless human hunting, human hunger program, Truman Show program, exploitation program, MK Ultra program, Stargate program, intentions behind every deed you did. While you studied me, while you patterned me, while you put me in your special little files, and while you called me this and you called me that, and there's even programs named after me. But instead of including me, you didn't. You used me. You used me as if my choice and my life meant nothing. You took my free will away from me. And in the highest courts, in the spiritual realm, that's guilty. It's guilty for espionage at my level. Because I'm the one that's going to lead the people to the safest and highest outcome, and it's espionage for all of you to have done what you've done to me as a world leader for the greater good of your country. Not only premeditated murder, not only malice, but all of the other crimes that you can be charged with that are now going to be on the table to sort through. What are we going to do now of this mess? And I'm only one of millions that this has been done to. There will no longer be trafficking of any children. You stop your trafficking businesses right now. Your trucking businesses back and forth, you stop them right now because you know there's children inside of those trucks and those containers. And you will stop your trafficking right fucking now. And you will start to put your money towards the healing systems of humanity. Each and every one of you will be called out. Any RICO crimes, any black web crimes, any pornography that is including these children or myself or anybody else, and your dumb ass plots and plans and schemes, and your dumb ass cults and covens online, you will be pulled out and you're going to get karma times 10 every day. And I'm going to shake your psyche. I'm going to shake your mental stability. I'm going to shake everything that there is to shake until you hear me for the billionth time. You're going to stay in your own lane and you're going to leave people alone. You're going to leave the starseeds alone. You're going to leave our sun alone. You're going to leave our waters alone. And we ask you one more time, in the worst case scenario, and the Disease Control Board will have to be a part of this research. If you're putting children that have been trafficked and sexualized, and some of them have been so badly sexualized, and this is just a trigger warning that we have to absolutely apologize for and have compassion for and heal for, because I'm the one carrying the energy that I have to transmute for these children that don't have a voice, but I am it. And you're not carrying it, are you? I am. You will have no idea what I carry and what I do for humanity and why God will lift me. These children, some of them died and were put in the ocean with various diseases, incurable diseases, because of how they were treated sexually. And because they didn't want them found out, some of them were dumped in the ocean. Now, what do you think that does to the ocean, dear lighted ones, and to the spirit and to the energy that goes into the ocean and our Christed water body that is of the water? And because the planet is so water rich, I'm calling the Einsteins and the world leaders of the planet because they think they're so fucking smart. I want to talk to the leaders right now. Leaders, what do you think about that statement? And what happens to the water that goes into the people and your stupid agendas? And what part of healing have you had on any level? None? Okay, thank you for being courageous in your answer because you're taking accountability. Culpability begins now. Are we taking these notes in the Akash for the highest spiritual courts? Continue. You're sorry for the deeds that have been caused. How many children involved on the North American continent? Spirit, do I have a number on the children that were put in the ocean, please? They're also showing me landfills. They're showing me there are the odd funeral homes. Most of them have been dumped. Do I have a number, please, Spirit, for North America? They don't want to go into the numbers. So in this week of love, our highest constitutional right is for safety and to walk safely. Not to walk as if we're hiding because there's stalkers in every parking lot. I want the person that is in charge of the stalkers that are in the parking lot of the coffee shop that I sit in. You pull off that stalker right now. Or your karma will get gross by 100%. Every day, every hour. Are you hearing me? Call off your stalkers. And you're going to take off me on every one of your stupid ass watch lists. You should be on those watch lists. You will not watch me because you're being watched right now. And what peace have you given me? What peace have any of you given me? This is from the children. What peace have you given me? None of you have even said sorry to these children. You use them like you use me. You took their free will away. This is the point of my voice, dear lighted ones. This is why I am ranked. Because I will lift this planet to the 5D gates, all on my own. I don't need you. I have every spirit and soul of everybody that's been dumped in the ocean and the women that have been beat so badly. They don't know who they are, and you throw them to the streets. And then you call them insane, and you get their insurance policy. How convenient for you. And then what, divine masculines? You're on a planet just with men. Then what? You've given diseases to all the children. Then what? You've sacrificed them. You've given them diseases. Then what? I'm asking you, then what? Masters of the planet? There's no life. Entropy, 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 entropy. Okay, what in 5 years? Then what? And why I'm here. It stopped yesterday. Chemtrails will be stopped. Pull the programs. Your nuclear war programs, your nuclear head programs is going to be stopped. Pull your fucking programs. Trafficking is going to stop. Pull your programs. Your affiliate, trucking businesses, transportation businesses, you're going to pull them because you know what's in them. Pull them. You're going to rework your business. You're going to rework your numbers. You're being watched. I know who you are. And I will call your names out. Because your affiliation isn't so righteous. I see you. And I will call your name out and your mother and your father and all of your people in your family and your wife at home that knows nothing of what you do. She'll know. And the children that were diseased, that were dumped in the ocean as if they meant nothing and their free will sits with my voice. You're going to make it right. You're going to make it right today. And you're not going to stop until everything is made right. And it will be made right today. So get out your checkbooks and get out your papers and get out your documents. You're going to make it right today. And that money will be in my account today. I'm not going to go another day where I'm sitting out on the street because you're sitting thinking about how you're going to come and tell me the truth. Are we clear? You're no longer going to do agendas and studies, and you're no longer to do experiments on anybody or analysis on anybody unless you're calling them in and you're actually having them in on one of your projects in their free will, and you're actually having their signatures on it, and they're going to know what you're doing, one side, back side, and up and down, and you're not going to do anything above what's on that contract. Are we clear? And you're not going to take any of their DNA, just like you're not going to take any of mine. Not a hair on my head, not an ounce of my saliva from a cup that I drank from. You don't think I know your tricks. You're being watched, all of you. Every single person on this planet, you are being watched, whether you're in the FBI or the CIA, whether you're the president. You're all being watched. Every move you make, every dot you sign. I haven't been given an ounce of peace, except through the Father, who has lifted me and had to come in by the hand because nobody else on this planet did anything right. You all chose to take me out. And you choose this day, even to this day, there's still cock blocking going on because all of you think that I'm going to be your date after the abuse you've caused me, after the ruin and the destruction you've caused me. Calgary Cult and my ex, are you kidding me? And everybody involved in this disgusting, ridiculous case. You think that I'm going to be in your presence and we're going to date? Are you kidding me? You will never go where I go. You're all forgiven. Put the monies back in my account. You will take your confessions to the authorities so that proper research can be done and the proper claims and crimes can be put to where they're meant to be put. These false claims and these false crimes, you're going to make confessions for them, and you're going to be a part of making it right. And the more that you show source about how you're going to make it right, and the more involved you are in making it right, and the more involved you are on helping humanity become healed, the more that you are involved, the more that you will clear your karma and show source that you care about your soul's progression, because that was the whole point about being here on this planet. Your point about being here is a spiritual journey, as an evolutionary being throughout all of the multiverse, because you're gifted life by source, and if you don't care about life and all you do is kill life, you won't come back. It is that simple. You're not going to be given another body in another life when you don't care. And I'm talking about the people in the Middle East that take life out just like it's Tic Tacs. You take people out more than you change your underwear. People in the Middle East. Dubai. How you treat women is disgusting. Calling you out, Dubai. Take a step towards me and see what happens. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It means nothing to Source. And just as quick as a breath, your life is just like that. And you all be sat down because you need to be. Greed, greed, greed. And that's what it becomes, ignorance. You're not leaders of planets. You're leaders of money. You don't care about your people or your land. You care about your money. And your agendas. And you're going to sit down and you're going to start making it right. Sit down at your tables and your desks today and you show Source Creator you're going to be a part of humanity's healing. You put one child in jeopardy today and your karma will go up tenfold. You touch a child today and your karma is going to go up tenfold. The black web is going to get pulled. These things will be done before June 30th. I see it happening right now because my voice is. Divine Feminine has risen. I brought my own peace and I carried it. I carried the wounds for everybody that was trafficked and nobody got up for them but me. And I sit in a coffee shop every day and I give healing to anybody that comes before me. And not one of you made anything right and I got no money in my pocket or my wallet. And none of you care. All you care about is how you're not going to be accountable and you're going to walk away free. And then you have the balls to think that you're going to fight anybody and you're going to make any type of chaos because you think I'm going to come back in your life and be your date? Are you kidding me? And because you think you have say over who I'm going to be with after you abused me for 10 years? And you stole my money and you raped my soul and you said my contents was yours? None of you are intelligent enough to carry what I carry. And you're going to sit down and you're going to make it right. You're going to be a part of healing this planet. Are you hearing me? I will be with nobody from the past on any level. You will never go where I go. Contracts are pulled and it's severed and burned. You do not stand before me. You're going to send your confessions and your apologies to my bank and my bank only. You're going to put the monies back because I'm owed and I'm deserving. And the more you fight this, and the more you try and hold off, and the more you try and think, and the more you're trying to think, and more you're trying to think about what you're going to do, the more that you wait, the more karma that's going to come, and the more upset that's going to come, and the more blockage on your abundance, the more blockage on your things, the more things that you think are important to you, the more it's going to be block, 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 because I have that authority. God is. Make no mistake, God is. We're going to read this about love. We had to get that out. We're going to do studies and research on everything I've talked about today. Make sure that the performance and the detailing of those drawings get done. And we're going to design classes around that. And we're going to teach our investigators. We're going to talk about love. We're not going to talk about that anymore this week. We're going to focus on love this week because the children rely on it. This is my channel part about love because it is Valentine's Day this week. Love, the capacity of love is infinite, and the understanding and the intricacies of love is also equally infinite. If we think about the multiverse and the galaxy in and of itself, there are infinite threads of creation, there are infinite threads of dimension that are in every moment being expanded. The expansion and contraction of any one galaxy, of any one being, is being expanded in all moments. Again, consciousness is growing. And this is why it's so important for us to have light wisdoms, intelligences. The exploration, expression of love is infinitely equal to the experience of love. If we think about, say, Source Creator and the entire multiverse, if Source thinks about love in any way, from the smallest dimension all the way up to the largest dimension, the capacity of the largest dimension, 13th dimension just in this one universe, just going to keep it in one universe because it's so profound to think of love in the infinite, if you will. Just in this one universe, there's parts of our universe we don't even know about, we've never heard about, we've never seen it, it's just because it's so vast and it's so wide, it's so profoundly diverse and vast. And you think that Source has, at any given moment, new aspects of love. Right in this moment, we can bring love into this moment right now. That it doesn't matter what's happening outside of you. It doesn't matter if your house falling down or got burned down yesterday. It doesn't matter what situation is happening. In any moment, you can choose in that moment to be a vibration of love. And that is the vibration of being an observatory experience and holding space for someone that's going through something difficult, holding compassion for someone, holding peace for someone. If you want somebody to have that peace, how would you do that? That's love. Those are actions of love. There's infinite ways that we can express and we can explore and we can experience love. We have masters in the masters, Lord Sananda, and all that Lord Sananda teaches in the highest levels of wisdoms, all the way up to the 13th dimension, that will spend entire thousands of years exploring the concept of joy. What is the vibration of joy? What is Source's vibration of joy? They're so intrigued with every emotion, with every experience, with every feeling that Source can provide us. And they study it, and they go into temples, and they meditate on it. And every day they bring these teachings to us. This is what the masters are for. The masters look at Source in all different ways Source is, and how Source affects creation, and how creation is affected by Source, the dodecahedron. As I am that I am. It's the reflection of Source. And this is what the masters do. They study all that is Source in the reflection of Source. And then they trickle down their information to teachers like myself, to channels like myself. If you go to Daniel, you'll hear some of his channels from the masters. And they can have infinite numbers of time, if you will, because you don't really have time in 5D and up. And they'll look at certain vibrations. And this week, we're going to focus on the vibration of love. So as you go about your week this week, we want you to think, and we want you to be in the vibration of creating and exploring and expressing yourself and experiencing yourself with anything that has to do with love. Because remember, love is infinite. Love can be just taking peace with watching your children play. That's an action of love. That's a vibration of love. Bring love back into any situation. If there's a family argument, you can sit there and have the intention of love. Hold space for love. Because the outcome of it, just in you holding space as love, is going to have just enough energy, just enough light to change and alter what the outcome is going to be. And we want all of you to go forward from here on out for this week is to focus on the infinite aspects of the 3 E's and the 3 A's of using love as your propeller. We want you to use love as your ignition. We want you to use love as your seeds. We want you to use love as the nourishment of the beautiful nutrients that is going to go in your garden and in who you are. Remember, we talked about the sun earlier and the chlorophyll and photosynthesis. Use this. These are all profound metaphors and parables for you to begin your higher consciousness mind. We want you to go into higher capacity thought forms. We want to go to higher capacity practices and use what we're talking about to start building and generating a higher vibrational light body. We also want you to do this as regards to the water, because we need to do some healing work on the waters. Okay, so use love when you're thinking about it. When you're in your bath, infuse love into your bath and in your water. It affects your Christ consciousness. It affects your DNA. It affects the water body of your Christ consciousness. I've been told this many times in my healings. The teams and my shamans and my ancestors have given me this in my healings. It's very important that we think about love when we're in water. It's our Christ consciousness. It's how we communicate as spirit, is through the water body. That's why water is such a great conductor. Do we all know this? Some of you know this very good. Now you're creating higher capacity mind thoughts and concepts. So when we think about the infiniteness of love, we want to take a visual now. We've got a few more minutes. Take a visual of love right now. We want to go with 3 E's. We really want you to have fun with this. We want you to play with this. We want you to be 5-dimensional. We want you to be co-creator gods. Because this is what God is. On any moment, no matter what's happening in your day, coming up for you. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're making dinner, if you have a difficult situation, if you've got to go in and talk to your boss, if you have to have a discussion with your child about something uncomfortable, well, I want you to go in there. We want you to do the 3 E's, and we want you to focus on love. And that means going to your heart space, mindfully going to your heart space to say, I'd like whatever source is. Remember the perfection of sources equation, because if you go in there with the perfection of sources equation, it's going to be to the benefit of you. You're going to get the highest and best. You're going to get the highest and best. You're going to get the highest and best, and you're going to get the highest and best. We have to get out of this self-serving, selfishness of all of our selfish agendas being served. No, because if you go in with sources perfect equation, everyone's going to get served. And that's what we want from here on out. Leaders and profound teachers and healers, it is always this, for the greater good of all. Otherwise, don't go forward with it. Period, point blank. If you're a teacher, healer, leader, you're not going to your higher self, don't go forward with it. Don't get out your spell book. So in this mindfulness, you're going to the higher mind. The higher mind will always guide you into the greater good of all. Source's perfect equation. Whatever comes about, whatever happens, you create right to your heart space, and you say, I'm going to practice this aspect of love this week because I'm going to see for myself, I'm going to prove to myself that source is a part of me. I'm improving my connection and my alignment with source. I'm improving my connection alignment with all that is. I'm improving my connection alignment with my cells, with my DNA, with all aspects of me. And I know that my life can only get better because all I'm focusing on is love. Even if I just hold the intention of love in this difficult situation, I know that it will be better. I know that I'm going to give and be a part of Source's perfect equation. Because why? Because it's always for the greater good that love will always be included. You can still hold boundaries and you can still hold your outcome to say, no, we're not going to go forward in this because I've told you before, this is not a good contract for me. No means no. You can still hold that and still hold it in a loving space. Right? So again, this is part of your mastery. I'm teaching you how to be a master. You want to hold the space of love. You want to say, this is why we need love, because it's going to be in the greater good of all. There's not going to be any person or child or any part of our collective that's going to be held out anymore. Everybody will be included in this. This is why it's important to have God's perfect equation. In all that you do this week, in your experiences, you're going to experience more love because you're going to intend this to be the equation of love this week. Your expression, how can you express in any way love? And love can be expressed in what? Infinite numbers of ways. It can be a smile. It can be offering somebody a cookie. It can be putting the monies back in her account because she's been asking for it for about 20 years. Because she's sleeping on the side of the road right now. And it doesn't feel good to sleep on the side of the road when she's the one giving out profound teachings to all of humanity that want to heal. So the people with the money, you're going to put the money in her accounts right now. And you can drop your contracts later because she's been without money for a very long time. So in these certain circumstances, you don't have to wait for contracts to be done because all of you have enough money that you can just put the money in her account and just have it be a surprise on how you're taking action, on how you're making right, on the things that need to be made right. Because when you could have given peace and you didn't, now you're going to give peace by acting on it. And how many ways can you explore love? And this can be done in ways that you want to challenge yourself every day. Can you explore love in making a salad? Of course you can. Can you explore love in, oh, here's a good one because I love this. Can you explore love in getting dressed every morning? And as a divine goddess, I love that. Because when I used to have a closet and I used to have my best pieces, I would sometimes get excited the night before on what I was going to wear the next day. And I would infuse love with it. I would say, what color am I excited about? I saw that belt. I'm going to wear this with this. And I would start to plan out my outfits for the next day. I used to love putting together outfits vibrationally first the night before. And how can you explore love in the things that you say and do and feel about your day and being mindful and using the God's perfect equation? Because we want to get you used to high capacity mind thoughts because it's going to come back to you in higher dimensional ways. It will. Watch it. We want you to prove this to yourselves, how love can work in the vibration of love return. We want you to get used to the infinity, God's perfect equation. When you intend mindfully, I'm going to sit and I'm just going to hold space right now for love. My husband needs me to listen to him. I'm going to hold space. I'm just going to be loving. And just hold space. Just listen. You don't have to solve anything. Just hold space. Right? Even if he's projecting, just you holding space is not going to allow you to wear that energy. So holding space for love is always going to serve you because you're not going to wear that energy as a projection. Or somebody that's going to impale magic at you or things like that. Just hold space. Just hold love, right? Right? That love just diffuses it just like that. You're not going to wear any of that negative energy. So this is how energy works. But we want you to go forward because this is the week of love. And we want to bring this powerful week of love. And we want to bring all of these things that are coming forward in the collective. And we want to balance it out. Because there's going to be things that have to be looked at, that have to be seen. Then we're going to have to clear the children's karma. And we're going to have to say we're give lots of compassion to the children that have already been of service to this experience, that they didn't need to be. And we're going to have to come up with healing systems. We're going to have to come up with monies going back to those that have been hurt and harmed, with those that have been in these agendas that had no right to be in these agendas and that need to have these legal processes with judges and lawyers that are going to do the right thing and be in their right authority. Because that's what Source and the Archangel Michael legions are going to look for. People that are in the right authority. People that are in these special groups like the CIA and the FBI, that you're not going to be corrupt. Corruption is over with. If you're going to keep playing corrupt, you need to step aside and move off. Because you're not going to continue playing both sides. You won't. Everybody's being watched. We need you to have your integrity. Or you're not going to continue through my gates. It is that simple. And in the God's perfect equation, dear lighted ones, we'd like to say a beautiful prayer for Mother and the Father and all of the children and all of those working through their karmas this week and their energies this week and being excited to work with your alchemy, being excited to work with your acknowledgement and creating new stories for yourself. And get up, get up, get up, dear lighted ones. You can always start brand new every day. Start brand new every day. And know that when you're asking somebody for peace, it's because you're actually ready for it. Because you're ready to see the truth, to know the truth so that you can get on with your life. And that's what is always being in truth for. If you have truth that you know somebody needs to know something, give it to them because they deserve truth. Don't hold things back because you think is better for you. That's your agenda. If you're holding truth back from somebody else, you need to bring truth because it's going to clear your karma and it's going to bring them the information they need to make their best decision. They can't make good decisions if they only have a portion of the details and the information. But that's why you held the truth back, wasn't it? Because you wanted to have the upper hand, the leg up. Don't ever play. We're going to have this last statement of love. If you play love like a game and you play it to have the information and you play it to wear a mask and you play it to hold back and you play it to have the upper leg and you play it to have the leverage, all of these things. If you play love like that, it's not love. It's wounding and it's fear and it's insecurities. Start again and heal. Love is not a game. Love is the natural flow of being in communion with all other aspects of Source, period. And because you're in the natural flow of Source, all you want to do is explore it. All you want to do is express it. All you want to do is experience because God is God. The highest and the best equation. Does that not make sense, dear lighted ones? Don't play love like a game. It's not a game. Stop playing game with people's hearts and souls. It's not mature. Bring truth and get healed. My PayPal is paypal.me/Joanna L. Ross. I thank all of you, especially my clients that donate CM and WS. I love you so very much. The angels are with you. Please ask the angels for anything that you like because they're with you to bless you as you have blessed me. I'm so very grateful for you and I love you so very much. And Archangel Michael and Mother Mary are with you this week. So please ask them for whatever it is you like. They're blessing you with love and light and rainbow hugs and kisses. I love you, I love you, I love you. And blessings to the children, and blessings to the water, and blessings to the fairies and the gnomes. That all of the beautiful angels and ancestors on our planet that is helping humanity learn our lessons of higher intelligence and learning our way through these traumas and these torments of trying to have power over others. It's not needed, it's not necessary. Let's move on. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And we thank you, dear lighted ones. And so, all of those, any donations, that would be, thank you so very much. I'm sending you love and light, and I'm wishing you well. Bye.